I've got a fun topic for us today. Have you ever gone out of your house and forgotten your smartphone? I've got one of these smartphones, and have you ever gone out of your house or left and found you didn't have it with you? You forgot it, left it at home, or left it at the office. Turned around and driven or walked or rode your bicycle back to have that smartphone with you, or gone back to the office that night and picked up your smartphone because you didn't feel right without it. I've done that, and I'm sure you might have thought about doing that or might have done it also. And have you ever looked in your pocket and all of a sudden, felt around and said, oh, where's my phone? And gotten a little bit panicky, just a little bit. And it wasn't about the data that you would have to re-enter if you had lost your smartphone. It wasn't about any, big loss of all of your calendars, because you probably had that backed up on the cloud and everything. And I'm talking about this because I have learned about all of these backups, but you just felt a little panicked because you didn't have that device, this ubiquitous device, didn't have it with you. Now, these devices haven't been around that long, but you probably have one. You may have upgraded. They come out with new upgrades right before Christmas time usually, so that everyone can have a new one of these for Christmas. And you probably have become a little bit dependent on it, not so much for the information in it, but just it's your pal. Some people say it's their best friend. It's got all of their contacts in it. These things are called smartphones. They're not just the little phones that you can dial a number and talk to someone. These things they have apps, and you can do all kind of things with them. You can dial phone numbers you don't have to remember them. They've got your contacts in there. Get your email, they get your text. You can go on Twitter, Facebook, all of the social media. It's all available right here in your hand. And people say it's a modern day miracle. I don't disagree. Might be a modern day miracle. But what about the cost? Yes, it costs something to have these. Yes, it costs something on your data plan, or unlimited talk, unlimited text, and data. When you get it to a certain amount of data, it throttles down. In other words, it goes slower. Or they charge you by the megabit or the gigabit. So it costs something money-wise. But what about your mental awareness, your mental acuity, your IQ, your relative IQ? Now, we all know that you don't text and drive. I hope that's solid. You don't text and drive. But that doesn't say anything about not watching a YouTube video while you drive, or doesn't say anything about not emailing while you drive. Just don't text and drive. I'm saying don't email, don't watch videos, don't listen to videos on this. Now, podcasts, that's like listening to the radio. But make sure you have that podcast up and running before you get in the car. Because if you're driving the car and punching the buttons and punching the screen and doing all of that, your mind is off the road. Your mind is otherwise occupied. And mine rings occasionally, just like that. And I'm here doing a program, and of course it rings. And when it does ring, you stop what you're doing and you see who's on the phone, and you want to make sure of what's happening. And that brings us to the point that I really wanted to get to. By the way, don't text and drive, don't email and drive, don't set up audios when you're driving, any kind of books on tape, or just have them going and listening to them before you start your car. And please don't text and walk or ride a bicycle or ride a scooter, because you're not paying close attention and you could be harmed physically. Now, what about you and your smartphone? What happens when you bring a smartphone into a test? Well, there was a group at the University of Chicago, and they did a study on people and smartphones and ways the intelligence was going. And you would think very intelligent people use smartphones because they can get all kind of data. But let's take it back to a computer. You may have a computer that is running a lot of programs in the background. It's got all of these windows open, or it got all of these programs going. You know what I'm talking about. You may have a YouTube going here, and you may have a Vimeo video going here, and you may have all of these things going, and you think you're multitasking, and you are. But your poor computer there, it has a certain amount of capacity, and you noticed, well, that computer's not running as fast as it used to. It's just not running fast. It's slow. And you look, and somebody says, have you closed all the programs running? You say, what are you talking about? And I did this once, and so what are you talking about? And I looked, and I had like 10 or 12 programs running, and I closed them. And my computer, my iPad or my tablet, it started speeding up. It sped up again to normal speed. So when you have all of these programs going, it slows things down. Now, what about your brain? When you have all of these things going in your brain, and we found that you focus mainly on one thing at a time in your brain. You focus on one thing, and then you go focus on something else. But in that transition, it takes a little time for your brain to do the transition. So your IQ is not as high as it would be if multitasking as if you were focusing. Well, what these researchers found at the University of Chicago, and they did this study back in 2017, they took 3 groups of people. And they had one group of people, and they said, bring your smartphone in, and you're going to be asked some questions. You'll be answering on your smartphone. But just take the smartphone and put it face down on your desk. And then they gave them a little test of brain fluidity and test of how well their brain functioned. They had another group, the second group, and they said, bring your smartphone in, put it in your bag or your pocket, turn it, they were all turned on vibrate or where you wouldn't hear the phone ring or hear it ding if a text came in. They were all turned to silent mode, but just leave it in your pocket or purse and where you normally carry your phone. And then they had another group that took their phone and had their phone left outside of the venue. And the phone was outside the venue, and it didn't ring, and the phone wasn't even with them. So they tested these people. And they found, what do you think they found? Just the presence of the phone there on the desk, face down, decreased the participants' brain fluidity or ability to do tasks rapidly. And the group that had the phone in the backpack or in the pocket or in the purse, their fluidity was about 20 or 30% better than having the phone out on the desk face down. But what about the group that left the phone outside? Their brain fluidity and their functioning, doing small tasks, was about double. Their efficiency was about double that of the group that had the phone in the venue face down on the desk. Now, what does that tell you? Does that tell you the phone? No, what it tells you is you're thinking about that phone, even if it's subconscious. That phone is with you. That smartphone is there with you, and it's running in your subconscious, just like a computer program that you weren't really activating, just like it's running in the background. It takes away a little bit from your brain function. Whereas if that phone is outside somewhere, all of a sudden, it's not in your subconscious. It's not running. It's not there. You're not thinking about your phone constantly in a very small way. I'm talking about running in the background, not thinking about it consciously, running in the background. If it's in your backpack or in your pocket or in your purse versus being on your desk, some part of your brain power, they postulate, is being utilized to keep it thinking, okay, that phone is there. I wonder what's going on in the world. Whereas if the phone's not even there, if it's not around you, you can focus your full power on something. So what does that tell you? For students, leave your phone outside when you're doing your homework. Leave your phone somewhere else if you're taking a test or you're at school. For people at work, leave your phone outside your work unless you need it to communicate. But remember, if you've got it there with you at your work, you're not going to be as efficient as if you don't have it with you. So it's a double-edged sword. Some people use that phone and use it very effectively and efficiently. Some people, it takes away from their effectiveness and their efficiency. Question is, which are you? Have you ever tried it? Have you ever tried leaving your phone somewhere for a while, putting it in your desk drawer somewhere else, outside your office, putting it somewhere where you don't see it and you don't think about it, putting it in a locker where when you go into your office, that phone is not there and you can focus on your work. And you can go check it every couple hours if you want to. Okay, go check it. Then put it back into your locker, back to somewhere. So that is the crux of the matter. What are you doing with that telephone, that smartphone? What are you doing to it? No. What is it doing to you? And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. You can think about it and decide what you want. But if you ever want to really concentrate on something and give your full attention to something, leave the phone somewhere else. And don't leave it somewhere where you're going to panic. If you've got a meeting to go to, leave it in your car. If you've driven to the meeting, leave it somewhere else, and that way you're not interrupted. You may be doing the deal of your life, and that phone rings, and it may be a wrong number. But I can tell you, this will help you in life. And of course, it's your decision what you want to do. But now you have more facts, and you can make that decision. Personally, I'm going to start leaving my phone somewhere else where I don't carry it with me. And it's not always running on the background. I find it very freeing. I did that one day, left it at home, forgot it at home, and didn't go back to get it. I found it fantastic. Had a great day. I want you to have a great day. I want you to be as efficient as you can be. And remember, it's your decision. I'm Dr. George Flynn. You've been watching In-Depth TV. I'll see you next time.